Do you notice that now more than ever, our beliefs are rising up easier than they ever have before?
Yeah, it's like the level of consciousness in the planet is like turning up the fire. Judah gave me this metaphor this week, a goldsmith who puts the gold in the fire and turns up the heat. And that's what changes the gold from 10 karat gold to 14 karat gold to 24 karat gold. You turn up the heat and then all the impurities rise to the top and you're able to kind of skim them off the top so that the gold is more pure. So that's happening for a lot of us right now. I think it is more accelerated because the level of consciousness is growing so rapidly. And so our stuff is kind of surfacing and getting skimmed off by life, by teaching, hopefully by a lot of vicarious learning. We're not having to do it the hard way so much anymore. But sometimes if you're like me and you're real stubborn, you have to kind of do it the hard way. That's okay too.
Welcome, welcome. I have the lovely Anjie Hipple back again. I'm so incredibly grateful to have you with us today. I was so excited to have you back because I feel like we just literally opened the door up during our first podcast together. So I'm just delighted to have you back to continue down the journey of wherever we're going to go today. I don't know, but I know that Judah's here.
Yes, absolutely. You can probably tell because you want to giggle a little.
And I can feel actually, and I don't know, anyone that's listening to this, feel the
Yeah.
top of your head because I feel this tingling going on in the top of my head right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. Really good energy. So much more beyond the words. It's wonderful.
Right? I love it. I love it. So again, thank you so much, not just for being here, but for the work that you're putting out in the world, all around the world.
pleasure.
It is,
Thank you.
it's so powerful, Anjie. So I want to start off with, before we jump into Judah, let's start out with a little bit of a continuation from our last episode that you and I did together. We were really opening up this can of worms around clearing limiting beliefs and how do we reprogram and all of these kinds of things. And I think those are really important topics. So do you want to start there? Because I know we talked a little bit about it, but let's just keep going there around how do we clear limiting beliefs? And I also want to piggyback on that by asking you this question. Do you notice that now more than ever, our beliefs are rising up easier than they ever have before?
Yeah, it's like the level of consciousness in the planet is like turning up the fire. It's similar to, Judah gave me this metaphor this week, a goldsmith who puts the gold in the fire and turns up the heat. And that's what changes the gold from 10 karat gold to 14 karat gold to 24 karat gold. You turn up the heat and then all the impurities rise to the top and you're able to kind of skim them off the top so that the gold is more pure. So that's happening for a lot of us right now. I think it is more accelerated because the level of consciousness is growing so rapidly, and the algorithms are taking us to the tools that we need and want the most. And so our stuff is kind of surfacing and getting skimmed off by life, by teaching, hopefully by a lot of vicarious learning. We're not having to do it the hard way so much anymore. But sometimes if you're like me and you're real stubborn, you have to kind of do it the hard way. That's okay too. Yeah. So when I discovered this concept about the subconscious beliefs some years ago, I knew that this was the ticket out for me because I was a self-help junkie. I had read everything out there, and of course, got a lot of help from it. It seemed like each teacher I was led to, there was a tool that brought me some relief from suffering, but I still was suffering a lot. I've struggled a lot with depression, chronic illness, a lot of repressed stuff. And I was consciously doing everything I knew how to do, but I wasn't getting free yet. So when I discovered this phenomenon of subconscious beliefs and how they're impacting my life, it changed my life. I felt like I discovered fire, and I began to finally, truly, consistently, sustainably get free. So, we know that about 5% of what we think, say, and do today, this is what science has taught us, we will consciously choose. And the other 95% of what we think, say, do, feel today will be not consciously chosen, but driven by our subconscious mind. And There are billions of things in our subconscious mind, not just, from this experience, from all of our lifetimes. Judah's taught us that each of us has our own personal field of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Chalfant's personal field of consciousness. Inside of that, it resides in the fifth dimension. We many times call it the higher self.
Mm-hmm.
It is unseen, but in that personal field of consciousness of Michelle is everything you've ever thought, felt, seen, heard, been imprinted upon, experienced in every lifetime, and it's resident in that field of consciousness. So when we learn to work with our subconscious mind, Carl Jung talked about the conscious and the unconscious, but he mentioned in a letter to one of his colleagues the superconscious. He said, I think there's this mysterious aspect called the superconscious. That is the higher self. That's the part of us that's never harmed, never traumatized, always knows, is always wise, is perfect, unharmed, ineffable, and unmovable, unshakable. And psychiatrists and psychologists are proving this. Even people they work with the worst kind of trauma, like prisoners of war and sex slave persons, they find that with all of them, there is an aspect of them that's never harmed, that's okay. Okay. So this is our superconscious, our fifth dimensional field is our superconscious. It's our divine aspect. So one of the things we do a lot in our work with the Judah channel is train people how to access the superconscious and then teach the unconscious mind how to locate the root, the wound, the hurt, the original incident that's causing us to feel triggered in the now moment. So, Judah's taught us that every fruit has a root, right? You can't have an apple and enjoy it unless there's branches and leaves in a tree and a root system. Yeah. So everything we're experiencing today, whether it's good or bad, has a root system somewhere in this unconscious mind. 40 billion bits of information per second we process in the subconscious mind. But we've never been taught what to do about it. I remember watching, the greats in this area, like Dr. Bruce Lipton. I was like, oh, that must be my problem. There must be something down in the subconscious, but how do I get to it? So I kept digging and studying and researching and learning until I mastered this skill. So think about your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind right now is pumping blood through your body. It's beating your heart. It's expanding your lungs in and out. It's blinking your eyes. It's nodding your head. It's moving your hand. It's doing all of this without any conscious direction. But the subconscious is also doing other things that we don't want it to do because somewhere in our past experience, be it in this lifetime or in other lifetimes, it got a wrong command. It got the wrong recipe. Yeah. So I'll give you an example of this. I was working with a beautiful gentleman recently who is a very loving husband, and he's from Honduras. He works very hard at his job. He's very skilled and he's well paid. He takes care of his family here, and he also sends money home to his mother and his siblings in Honduras. Very hardworking man, but he just can't get ahead. Can't get ahead. It seems like his family is just consuming everything he earns. I said, boom, where there's a fruit, there's a root.
Yep.
I immediately knew, Judah was telling me there's something in his childhood. There's a belief there. So, when we're young and really hurtful, painful things happen to us, that especially if they're serious traumas, lots of little traumas with a little t or big traumas with big T, we're hurt. It's our instinct, of course, the ego's instinct is to protect, defend, so that we survive.
Right.
And so we develop we have hurt and we develop judgments. The judgments we think will protect us from additional hurt or harm. And these judgments, if they're strong, then they become beliefs. So for this gentleman, when we got together and we worked on this, what we remembered was when he was 7 years old, he remembers he was out on the street hustling and working to earn money for his family as a very young boy. And his dad was a drunk, and he sold their TV for booze. He even once sold their house for
Wow.
booze. So this sweet little boy was working as hard as he could to bring in money to help support his family in the wake of his father's, irresponsibility.
Yeah.
And so he made some beliefs in that moment. I have to work. I have to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
I have to work hard or I won't survive. And if I work hard and I do well, my family will take everything I give them. They will take it all. There'll be nothing left for me. So until he gets rid of that belief in the subconscious mind, it's instructing his life on an unconscious level. So he can work as hard as he wants and get as many raises as he wants and do all the things right, but he won't get ahead because he believes there's an instruction in there. Work hard,
Yep.
keep working, and it's all going to get consumed by your family. I give you one other illustration of this. A beautiful young woman we were working with, my husband and I, and she was not getting pregnant. And he is an acupuncturist by trade and very successful at helping young women get pregnant. And he knew there was no logical reason why she wasn't. He knew there must be a subconscious belief. So he told her while she was laying on the table getting her treatment, sweetheart, look inside, see what comes up for you. And it bubbled right up from her subconscious. Given the opportunity, we can allow these things to bubble up. She remembered when she was a very young little girl, she wanted a specific doll for her birthday. She asked her mom for it. Her mom gave her a doll, but it wasn't the one she wanted. She opened it and she was so disappointed. Kicked the doll. It wasn't what she wanted. She kicked it. Her mom said, if that's the way you're going to treat your baby dolls, you'll never be able to have children.
Oh.
Good mothers would never treat their babies that way. And so her subconscious in that moment of hurt received a command. And it was buried in the unconscious mind. And the command was this: you're not worthy to have a child. You're a bad girl. You're not worthy. You can't be a good mother. And so even though as an adult, she had long forgotten this incident, probably hadn't thought about it in decades, but her body had not forgotten it. It was buried in her subconscious and instructing her body not to allow her to get pregnant. So as soon as that came to the surface, she and Chuck cleared it and she got pregnant right away. So we all have these, and we may not remember the exact incident of what caused the hurt or the trauma or the pain, but we know that the belief is there because we have the fruit of it in our life today.
Yep.
Can't have fruit without a root. And so as you, Michelle, are teaching your beautiful listeners to pay attention to triggers, triggers are a gift. I heard you say that. Beautiful, wise. Trace that trigger back down into the inner being and find out what it is you believe about life. I'll give you one more recent example. Chuck and I were considering making a really big purchase, a gift for someone. It was something that was really in my heart that I wanted to do, but it was a big ticket item. And it was important, as husbands and wives, that you talk through the details and the pros and cons of the whole process. There was something in the moment I was feeling. It was like, I earn my own money. I work really hard. I don't want to have to ask a man what to do with my money. I want to do what I want to do. I want to do this for this couple. It's important to me. I earn plenty of money to do it. I don't want to have to ask permission. Yeah. And of course, that wasn't the real situation that was going on with Chuck and I. But that's what I was feeling, right? And so I know the same thing you're teaching so beautifully, Michelle, is that it's whatever's going on is in us. The work has to be here. Nobody's doing anything to us. So I sat with it. I went inside. I talked to Judah. I said, Judah, what's in there? There's this burdened wife part. And I remembered as a very young woman when I was still in my religious, community and a marriage with both of us very fundamentalist, very rule bound, the husband's the head of the house, that
Mm.
whole thing.
Yep.
I remember there was something that I wanted to do for myself. It was very aligned for me. My heart was screaming out that it was something I needed to do for myself. And he disagreed. He wasn't having it. He was pushing back. And I felt that anger, right?
Mhm.
Working full time, taking
Mhm.
care of 3 kids, contributing my whole paycheck to the household account. I should be able to effing do this for myself. So, so the moment with Chuck was triggering something very old,
Yep.
and maybe even with past life energy behind it too. I don't need to know all of that. I just know that there's a root because I got the fruit. And so I sit with young this young wife part that feels burdened, like she
Mhm.
just works so hard and takes care of so many people, but then doesn't get to do what she wants to do, even though she's earned the right to do what she wants to do. And I had to really sit there and love her and say, I love you. I love you, sweetheart. I hear you. And I'm going to make sure that you get to do what you want to do.
I love that. I was gonna ask you, is there a certain process that you could share or anything? I mean, yes, I have my trigger process, but is there anything unique about your process to help pull that root out?
Absolutely. So I studied very deeply with MAP Institute and Dr. Gary Flint, who's now passed, and I actually work with him from the other side as well.
Uh-huh.
And we created what's called Treats, Totally Releasing Everything Audio Treatment System.
Ooh.
And you just pop it in your earbuds and
Mhm.
listen passively, and it trains your subconscious mind in connection with your higher self, with superconscious, to find the root, to clear all negative energies around it, to clear
Mm.
any fields or entities that are attached, to also heal the parts. If you follow Dr. Schwartz and the parts IFS,
Mhm.
it covers all of that. It does it all at once.
Wow.
So like in the instant, let's say you just in that moment, I was feeling that angst with Chuck. I could just sit with the Judah treats and just focus on what I'm feeling in the moment and where it is in my body and just listen passively. And
Yep.
and the commands will go in, find the original root, and clear up all of the energies in the field. And one of the things that makes the work that we're doing in this realm unique, I think, is that when we treat with this Judah Treats program, we're treating the issue in every realm of time and space in every lifetime, past, parallel, present, future
Mhm.
realities.
Yep.
We want to clear it completely from the story of the soul. Right. So if you're aware, right, that you're feeling victimized, like someone's doing something to you, and you're aware, oh, I'm playing that old victim story again. I know better. Consciously, you know
Right.
you don't want to do that anymore, but you're feeling it so deeply hurt or like betrayed or things have been done to you, right? You sit with the Judah trees and you feel the feeling and let the angels work with your higher self and see every instance in your field of consciousness where you've ever had this feeling of being victimized or betrayed and just clear it up completely throughout the whole spectrum of your life story.
Wow.
And
That
here's one thing I want
yeah.
to that's beautiful about Judah Treats is what happens is while you're passively listening to it, your subconscious mind is being trained how to do it faster and faster and faster. And ultimately, you internalize the skill and you know how to treat yourself. I even heard from a beautiful young woman we work with recently who's begun treating in her dreams.
Oh, wow.
She'll be, because, we process a lot in our dreams,
Sure.
process what's going on in our life, and sometimes really old things too. And in her dreams now, she will say, Judah, please tag and treat this and do a massive change history and everything after that. And she has sublimated the skill to the degree she's able to do it in her sleep. And it's very powerful.
So powerful. Oh my God, I love it. Can you imagine a place where you can learn and grow together? Something that I hear from people all the time and for years is when we do our personal work, We are growing and we have nobody to share it with. Maybe our friends and our family, like they don't quite understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, but we're so excited on the inside and we don't feel a sense of community. This has been on my heart for years, which is why I'm really excited to announce I am creating a brand new community for people that want to feel like they belong, for people that are doing this inner work. They want a community around them. It's called the Adult Chair Collective. And every month, we are going to be going through a new masterclass where I'm going to teach you all the concepts in the adult chair. Everything from building self worth, healing codependency, learning how to manage your triggers, cultivating healthy relationships, setting boundaries, and so much more. So every month, you're going to get a masterclass. And then we're going to do a live Q&A and coaching with yours truly. And then the best part is we have a community that is going to be there to support you and encourage you every step of the way. So if this is something you'd like to check out, we'd love to have you the month of December. We are doing self-worth, building self-love. It's all coming your way in December. So check it out at michellechalfant.com/collective, and I'll see you there. So powerful. Okay. So, and this is on your website. We can put all this, of course, in the
Yes,
show
it's
notes.
called Judah Treats.
Judah Treats.
And so, here's the short form.
Yeah.
We all need to learn a new language. We need to learn the language of the subconscious mind, right? It's just like we wanted to learn French or Spanish or Italian. We might stumble through a little bit. We have to listen a lot to the language being spoken because it's foreign to us. We don't know it. But if we keep listening and then we try a little bit, eventually we develop this fluency. And then eventually they say that when you master a language, one of the ways you know that you've mastered it is you begin to dream in that language.
Oh, wow.
So that was what was happening with this precious woman that I was working with. So we just have never been told what to do with this whole thing called the subconscious that's pushing and driving 95% of our behaviors. We don't know what to do with it. So with Judah Treats, as you get in it and you listen, it's just like learning a new language. You just listen and listen and listen. And then you try to speak it a little bit to yourself and to others. And then eventually you totally absorb the skill and it's a part of you and it's a lifestyle. So when I'll give you one more example. Now I not only use it to heal myself, but I can use it to heal others. So let's say I'm with my adult son and he's struggling with something. Well, he doesn't want to hear from mom what he should do, right? And I don't want to get in my codependency and be in his business, right? Because that's all ego stuff. But what I can do is in my inner being, I say, superconscious or universe, do I have permission from Joe's soul to work in his field? Because if I ask him directly, he says, oh, mom, blah, blah. No. But what the soul wants and what the ego wants are two different things, right? So I ask his soul, Joe, do I have permission to work in your field? I ask it in my inner being, not out loud. I don't have to have a conscious conversation with him about it. I get a yes. I feel a yes in my inner being. And I say, universe, Judah angels, do you see what's disturbing Joe right now? Do you see what's upsetting him? Do you see what's troubling him? Yes. Can you treat that? Yes. Thank you. Please treat it. And then I'll check in a few minutes later. Judah, how you doing? Were you able to treat that? Yes. Is it complete? Yes. Thank you.
Ooh, you're working in the quantum field. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Talk a little bit about, and I love that you use the word, I have to say, command. These programs are commanding us to think a certain way, show up a certain way, react a certain way. They are truly commands within our subconscious mind that we don't even know. We don't even know about. And I feel like we're in some ways like a computer or a phone where we have all these commands or apps that are downloaded within us. And sometimes they're glitchy, and we've got to update them. So such beautiful work. I wanted to ask you, so many people talk about that there are no past and future lives. It's just parallel lives. Can you talk a little bit about that right now? And what I'm curious about when it comes to this is, so then if I'm conscious in this lifetime, are the other parts of me that they're also conscious at the same time and I'm just not aware? Like, how does all that? And I know it's hard for our brain to understand, but what is your take on all that?
Yes. Well, it's all in the now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all happening simultaneously. And we have the perception that it's in the past. But really, the past, of course, doesn't exist at all. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But it resides in our unconscious mind as an imprint, as information or a neural network.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that is as real as you and I talking right now. So when I'm working with someone like, for instance, that gentleman, he's in his 30s now, but that 7-year-old boy is still just as real, in his experience right now. And I can talk to
Right.
that little 7-year-old boy, exist within him as an imprint, as a memory, as a neural network, even though the past is long gone. So it's all happening right now. And so whatever you can heal now in the moment is healed for in your past lives, your parallel and your future. So it works always. You're the center. You are the center of your experience right now in the soul. And so whatever you can have victory over now ripples out through all of your different space and time experiences, no matter whether it's past, parallel, future, however you consider it to be.
Mm.
One of the things that I've learned to do is to speak to my higher self is Judah, the angelic group that I come from, that I incarnated from. I can speak with Judah. Judah is ancient, ancient, ancient. And also I can speak to my future self. And sounds a little weird and complicated, but it unfolds for you as you learn to channel and work with yourself, work with yourself, work with yourself. So my future self is Pleiadian. So that's why I work a lot with the Pleiadians. But,
Mm.
anytime you go into a deep meditative state, there's lots of things happen. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm. So if you think of God as an infinite field of energy, and within this infinite field of possibility and energy, every soul exists, every consciousness exists, all the angels, all the archangels, all the dark entities, all the folks that have died and gone, all your animal souls, all of it exists in there. Your grandmother, everybody is in this infinite field of consciousness called God. And your consciousness is in there as well, of course, as a part of all of that. So when you're interacting in the quantum field, there is an innumerable amount of connections that you can make with any of these souls, any aspects of these souls.
Mm.
One of the ways I think of it, I think of consciousness or God as like a unbelievably large diamond with billions of faces or facets. And
Mm-hmm.
each facet of this diamond, Michelle's a facet of the diamond, Angie's a facet of the diamond.
Mhm.
The ascended masters are Jesus is a facet of the diamond. There's an innumerable things to look at or ways to experience the divine. Every time you are encountering a soul, whether they're in physical form or non-physical form, you are seeing an aspect of the divine. Well, we as individual souls are like this infinite field of consciousness. Within us are so many different lifetimes and
Mm-hmm.
experiences and incarnations and past, present, parallel, future. There's all different parts in there. There's wife parts, there's mom parts, there's daughter parts, there's businesswoman parts, there's psychic part, whatever your roles are, your aspects are. And so the work of spirituality is to go into yourself, into your heart, which is your home. Your heart is your home. Your consciousness, and play with what's in there and heal what's in there, clear what's in there that's driving or pushing or pulling your life in a way that you don't want. Clear it permanently from the story of your soul and be just more of the good stuff and not the stuff that you don't want.
Mm. I'm listening to you now speak about what God is, and I'm thinking about where you came from. And I know we talked about this on the first show, so I don't want to go too deep into this, but I would like you to highlight just high level. I'm just curious. You came from a fundamental Christian background, like deep, deep, deep in it. And I look at who you
Yes.
are today. It is a stark contrast from where you came from. What
Yeah.
was that journey like for you? I mean, and I know that's a long conversation, but I know we talked about it before, but how difficult was that for you? Or was it just a journey and it just, give us anything at all, because I think a lot of people in this day and age are struggling with a similar thing. They're questioning who's God, what's God, what is this doesn't quite make sense, or it does, and there's confusion. So you want to shed any light on
Yeah, yeah. It just triggers for me a song I was listening to this week by Trevor Hall. He says, "So many gods, but no love for the people." It's
that?
like so many ways that God's been represented to us, but all of us, most of us, still starving for love in the context of, I was raised in this fundamentalist Christianity. It was all I ever knew. So my entire worldview and concept of life and myself and everything was shaped by this fundamentalism.
Mm-hmm.
And and I did as much as I could within that container
Mm-hmm.
to find freedom, to find help, support. When I was in my 20s, I started going to Al-Anon because my partner at the time was alcoholic. That was an important part of awakening for me, because I remember sitting there and hearing a woman refer to God as a she, and that just drove me bonkers because that did not fit into my religious paradigm. It's very upsetting for me.
Mm-hmm.
But, 12-step helped to open me up some to begin rethinking what God was. But when my true awakening happened, I had a series of a lot of unfortunate events, which I've already shared.
Yep.
It was pretty harsh, I will say,
Mm-hmm.
and really challenging, because all my concepts about life, what life is, it all just kind of crumbled. So I would encourage people to really find support. Fortunately, I had a new partner that was able to really be with it, on it, knew what I was going through, knew how to get me through it. He'd been a long time spiritual aspirant, 50 years in the spiritual space, to walk me through it. But it was hard because all my definitions of self dissolved completely. I had to start over and build everything from scratch.
Mm-hmm. I know when I lived in Nashville, I had several clients that said they experienced religious trauma
Mhm.
or PTSD. And I mean, they were taught one thing and then they were coming to me like, I don't know what to do with all this. This doesn't make sense anymore, and things that had happened in their past. I think you would say you also experienced some of that.
Yeah, I actually had a diagnosis of complex PTSD due
Mm.
to religious trauma. So, yeah, I mean, I was taught from a very young age to look to sources outside of myself for my connection
Mhm.
with the divine. Everything was packaged, and all the rules and all the explanations and all the guidelines were already, in this package of Christianity. And there wasn't really any room to question or feel anything outside of the experience I was given. If you ask questions, that was rebellion. If you tried things, that was rebellion. Just a lot of guilt, a lot of shame.
Mm.
I was taught from the very beginning that we're born sinners, we're born flawed, we're born with a bent towards evil doing, and that
Mm.
we can't trust ourselves. So this is really damning, because then you're left with no recourse to cope in life or to move forward if you don't trust yourself.
Mm-hmm. Wow. But you're in a much different place and space now, obviously.
Yeah.
And having Judah, the angels come through, was it shocking for you when this started happening? Given your background, I'm just thinking of your background.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Like, that had to blow your mind. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, well, it was really hard for me to watch channelers in the beginning, or any kind of enlightened masters. I was with my new partner, and these things were part of his standard fare of spiritual
Mm.
diet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had been taught that channeling and those types of things were witchcraft. They were evil. You could be demonically possessed by doing these sorts of things. But as I, proceeded on in my kind of deconstruction process of sifting and sorting through what I believed, and Chuck and I would watch channelers together many times, And I found their messages really genuinely helpful
Mm-hmm.
and practical and encouraging. So I was willing to kind of overlook the weirdness of the process
Mm-hmm.
because the messages were so helpful. But it wasn't like something that I thought I would ever want to do. Like it wasn't on my bucket list of things to do. But when I started channeling Judah, it came suddenly out of nowhere. But I had been through 2 years of this serious, intense ego stripping, looking inside, meditating a lot. I was chronically ill, so I spent a lot of time just sitting in a chair meditating and reading enlightened masters and sifting and sorting through my belief systems and looking at why I would have created this kind of situation for myself while I was sick. And when Judah came through, it was sudden, it was transformative, it was like no going back. It was undeniable, unmistakable. The physical energy they brought through my whole body just caught on fire, and the energy was so palpable and real. And I was physically healed instantly the first time they came through of this 2-year chronic illness. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and all of that was unexpected and unasked for, and it was absolutely life changing. But, a lot of people, if they have a lot of trauma and difficulty, some of these kind of experiences can actually be trauma induced.
Mm-hmm.
We know that from like near death experiencers and so on.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about, and I want to move over to Judah in a few minutes, but talk a little bit about our physical ailments, diseases. Are they connected to our emotional and mental bodies?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Every single disease that we have has an emotional root. And repression is really the big enemy of happiness and fulfillment and wholeness and joy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just trained to repress from a very young age, especially in the busyness and the toxicity of our life. We just kind of white knuckle it and keep going, and especially like for moms with little kids and working full time. And,
Mm-hmm.
we don't make the time to process our emotions. We just push them down in our body, and they are resident in our body and produce these illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, absolutely. And usually there's a belief attached to them. And I can pretty quickly usually identify, for instance, maybe someone listening has a thyroid problem today. A lot of times that's about the throat chakra. It's not speaking our
Mm-hmm.
truth,
Yeah.
not being authentic, speaking up for ourselves. I was working with a woman recently who was slated for a thyroid surgery. And we talked about this, and we looked deep inside. What's going on? Where are you not speaking your truth? What do you need? Who do you need to speak up to? And she healed herself. She healed herself and did not have to have that surgery.
What do you find with autoimmune disease? People that are suffering with some sort of autoimmune. Is there a root that you typically will find with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can really bring miracles for people like that. As a matter of fact, I was working with a woman yesterday, autoimmune disease. She's a very enlightened healer herself, a retired chiropractor. And during the COVID era, she lost two close family members, and of course, all the stress of COVID, and developed Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to get to clear that up yesterday with her on a Zoom call, which was remarkable. I was like, Judah, can you pull this off? And I felt to just try it, and yes, we cleared it. So here's what
Wow.
happens. Here's what happens. We are always at all times either in fight or flight or growth and repair. We're either in our parasympathetic nervous system is turned on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this fight, flight, freeze, fade, fawn mode because
Mm-hmm.
we feel attacked, or we're stable in peace. We're in growth and repair. There's only those two things. We're always in love or we're in fear. Love or fear. So because of the toxicity of our culture and all the traumas and things that can go on, even just watching the news, we can put ourselves in a fight or flight state. To be really mindful, right, about the energies that we're imbibing. So what happens with autoimmune disease is someone gets stuck in the fight or flight state. They get stuck in that state. So you can kind of compare it to, as a metaphor, if you've ever had your power go out in a circuit in your house, you have to go out in the panel box, and the switch is flipped off.
Mhm.
It takes a
Mhm.
lot of force, so you got to force it back on, right? What happens is people's bodies get stuck in this fight, flight, freeze, fade mode, and they need help getting it back into a growth and repair state. You have to flip that switch. It's like hitting the reset. You know, the first thing we do when our devices stop working, we power them off,
Mhm.
power them back on, we reset them. So
Yeah.
there is a way to do this. Chuck does it with acupuncture. I do it in sessions. But basically, you want to command this again, command your subconscious mind. I command you, subconscious mind, not to go into fight or flight unless I am in imminent physical danger. So what's happened is in the toxicity of our culture and so much going on, we're so bombarded with these energies, these fear energies,
Yeah.
that we just our system gets overloaded and we get stuck in this fight or flight state. That's what causes the autoimmune. So as soon as you get the body back into growth and repair, then the autoimmune diseases literally disappear. Now, sometimes you have to do it several times in order for it to retrain your body to because
Mhm.
the body will just kind of get where it defaults to that because
Mhm.
it gets used to it. And also, our bodies can get addicted to cortisol and chemicals. One of the
Right.
ways I can tell if someone's switched, we call it switch when they're stuck in fight or flight. If they put their hand on their head, you want to try it, Michelle?
Sure.
Put your
Yeah.
hand on your head. Okay, so you're strong. So it means you're
Mhm.
not
Oh,
switched.
yeah, and
Bring
then
your
do
hand
this.
over.
Yeah.
And if you go weak here, so if you put your hand upside down and your finger goes weak, you know
Mhm.
that you are switched,
Uh-huh.
it's stuck in a fight or flight state.
Okay.
If you if it's strong here, you know you're in growth and repair.
So what am I in? I'm in growth and repair?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for that. That's so powerful because, gosh, in our world, it's so many of us are in fight or flight with so much happening in the world. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Oh my goodness. You talked before about how do we understand our personal energy field or the fields of others, and how do we navigate them and thrive? Because we blend. So, talk a little bit about the energy fields in general.
So we're constantly interacting and engaging in other energetic fields all the time, whether we're aware of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so developing awareness, right? So asking the right questions, being inquisitive, being curious. I use muscle testing a lot. So let's say, like yesterday, I felt really, really, really tired, unusually tired. So I
Okay.
asked questions, what's going on? Judah or super conscious? Is this my weariness? No. Is it
Mhm.
someone else's? Yes. I use
Yeah.
muscle testing.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when I got on my first session of the day, this woman had chronic fatigue syndrome. So
Oh, wow.
I was already entangled with her fields. So I'm aware of that. You guys are probably, a lot of you are intuitive on this level. You're just not aware that you are. So a good example of it would be you go to the grocery store after work, you've had a good day, everything was fine, you enjoyed your work day, you go in, get a few things for dinner, you're walking out of the store, and suddenly you're like, oh, I feel so
Yeah.
tired. Well, so remember to ask, maybe it's not you that's tired. Maybe you were picking up on all the people in the grocery store that were really tired and frustrated and anxious after work, and you just picked up their energy. So
Hmm.
asking the right question, is this my energy? And feeling intuitively yes or no. Is this someone else's energy? Yes. Whose energy is it? Is it my husband's? Is it Michelle's? Is it my client's? Whose energy is it? And then I asked Judah, Judah, are you able to treat this? Yes. If, like, for instance, if I got the answer, oh, it's not yours, it's your husband's. Judah, can you see this? Are you able to treat it for him? Yes. And so
Mm.
that's again where you start using these commands again to treat. Did that answer all of that? I felt like there was more to your question.
No, it definitely did. And you speak a lot about channeling. I wanted to ask you, do you feel like anyone has the ability to channel?
Absolutely. Everyone has the ability to channel. It is a learnable skill. It is a
Mm.
learnable skill. Everybody has a software in their own inner being to channel. sometimes it can be a little challenging for people if they're still struggling a lot in their lower chakra centers with the task of, surviving,
Yeah.
uh, paying their bills and all of that. But as they come more into the heart center and more heart aligned, especially using someone's teachings like your own, then they can definitely come into a really sweet space where they can channel, and it is a learnable skill for sure.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Whew, is there anything else we need to cover before we invite in Judah?
I don't know.
I think we're good. I think we're
Okay.
good. All right. So how do you want to do this? How do we do this? So you're going to
I'm
bring
ready. You
Judah.
just fire away, whatever you want to ask.
Is there anyone else? I've seen you sometimes channel like Jesus, Babaji, other beings. So if I'm so excited to talk to Judah, but what if there's someone else that might want to come through? How do we ask that?
Well, how about if we hear from Judah and then maybe we'll ask the Pleiadians to visit?
Sure. Do you ever bring through Mary Magdalene?
I haven't, but we can certainly try.
Let's ask.
Okay. Do you want to do that now?
You want to go Mary Magdalene first or Judah?
If either way.
Sure, let's go.
Okay.
You're going to be, your eyes are closed.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do for you? Are you going to come out of it on your own, or do I say, okay, Angie, let's end, or?
Whenever we're ready to stop, you just let me know and I'll
Okay,
back out.
wherever you want to start.
Ask if we have permission to speak to Mary Magdalene. Yes.
Oh
And
my
what would you
goodness.
like to ask her? Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. There's such a movement now on the planet with the divine feminine, and so many people talk about her. I wanted to thank her, but are there any messages that she has for us today?
Be your bright, bold, beautiful self.
Mm,
Mm?
mm,
Follow your heart. Follow the one that you love. As I followed the Christ, the one that I loved so dearly, and his entrance into my experience, I had longed for so many lifetimes, and it was so radically transformative. Literally walking in a heaven on earth experience of bliss and an irrepressible love for this beautiful man who embodied everything my heart desired. And he gave me an extraordinary gift. And the gift was allowing me to just be as I was, not demanding anything of me, allowing me to be my authentic self and embracing all that I was, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the angry, all that I was, he embraced with complete acceptance and open heartedness. And his love was all that I needed. It was my bread, it was my water, it was my food, it was my joy. And I clung to him and stayed in his presence as much as I possibly could. And this is the glory and the beauty of the enlightened ones, the power of their attraction, to sit in their love, to sit in their presence. It's an experience that has been the centerpiece of the story of my soul, always will be, always has been. And the communion and the union and the love, the interchange between us is my fulfillment.
mm. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here with us today. Do you have a message for the women on this planet and the rising up of this divine feminine? You are center stage with so many women across the globe. Is there any messaging that you have for us?
Yes. Well, you are never less than.
Mm.
and neither are you more than. But
Mhm.
when you rightly connect yourself to the masculine energy within you and without, then there is wholeness, then there is blameless purity. You are both the perfection of the feminine and the masculine. Both of these things reside within you. You are utterly feminine, delicate, gentle, loving, wise, but you are also a lion. You are
Mm.
also full of strength, determination, authority, and the masculine energy resides within you as well. Know that you embodied both of these energies fully, and you do not need anyone outside of yourself to complete you. You are complete as you are.
Mm.
So allow this completeness and wholeness and allow your expansion, and then allow your love to flow out and over and spill out upon all that come to you. Bring your eyes, the eyes of your heart, back into your center and your inner being. Be true to yourself. Be beautiful, be feminine, and also be strong.
Mm. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that.
Mm.
All right. Let's shift over to Judah.
Mhm. Yes, dear. We are thrilled to be here with you and all of your precious ones. And there are many gathering here for the restoration of the soul and to begin to learn the language of the higher self and integrate the experience. Integrate the experience with love and acceptance into the higher self. How may we be of service to you?
Mm. Thank you for being here, Judah. I would love for you to explain to the audience and myself what exactly is happening on the planet right now. There's a lot happening.
Yeah. What is happening is each one is choosing their experience. They are choosing their experience and living their experience, living the experience of their choice. Some parts of the experience are chosen consciously, and the vast majority chosen unconsciously, but they are still in alignment with the desire of the soul, whether consciously or unconsciously chosen. And so all manner of persons choosing what they will and experiencing exactly what they desire. Mm? And
Mhm.
hear some of you saying, oh, but Judah, I didn't ask for that to happen. I didn't ask for the divorce. I didn't ask for the miscarriage. I didn't ask to lose my child in an accident and so on. But we want you to know that there, on some level of the soul, each one has chosen their experience, each and every part of it. And it is for the clearing and expansion of the soul and for the experience of your perfection and enlightened state. And so everyone is making their choices, and you are experiencing the impact of your choices and also of others. And others are mirroring to you things that you don't want to see about yourself. What bothers you in another is what resides in you to some degree. Yes?
Yes.
If you can see it, you are being it on some level. If you see it in another, it is a part of you as well. And if you see it, you can free it. So work well with yourself. Learn how to work with yourself. And when you see something in another that you don't prefer, know that some aspect of that, what you don't like, what you're judging in another, resides in you. And this is why it troubles you and upsets you. For in truth, anyone could do all manner of things, and it would not bother you a bit were you in your full mastery. So what bothers you is directing to something that you have judged about yourself or about life. And mastery is when all of your triggers disappear, all your buttons are officially broken and can no longer be repaired. A master can allow another to hold a gun to their head, and they will look at the one and say, "Go ahead and take my life if it serves you well in some way." And the master is not bothered a bit by what another does or doesn't do. So anything that is disturbing you, that you see going on in your home, in your workplace, in the world at large, is pointing back to a lost part of yourself that needs to be reclaimed. If you are upset and disturbed about the war, look in your own heart. How are you at war with various aspects of yourself? How are you at war with your partner, with your children, with your parents, within your own family? If you want to alleviate the trauma of war for others living in war-torn countries, then bring peace into your own experience. Bring peace where you feel distressed and where there is war going on within you. Don't waste your time, energy, and attention on things you cannot change. Do not waste your life force energy, which is your time, energy, and attention, on things you cannot change. If you are concerned about the war in Israel and Palestine, and it troubles you deeply, if you are there as a ground troop, or you are there bringing aid, food, shelter, clothing to the war-torn nation, fine, do that, do that, do that. If you can't do that, if you're not able to do that or willing to do that, don't waste your time, energy, and attention on that. Don't fool yourself into thinking that you are bringing change by worrying. Worrying does not bring change. So unless you are there in your physical body, working side by side, those who are decimated by the war, don't fool yourself into thinking that giving your thoughts and energy and attention to it will alleviate suffering. You cannot alleviate suffering by suffering in your own inner being.
So what would the best thing that we can do then? What can we do for our planet if we're not worrying and not getting angry and not sitting in fear? What can we do to help planet?
Be a beaming light of peace and love. Establish peace within yourself. Be at peace within yourself. Be at peace with all of life, whatever it is going on. Know that you're okay. Be okay in your own center, and then love the one person in front of you. Think carefully. If the billions on this planet now, if everyone were at peace right now in their own inner being, there would be no war. There would be no suffering. Bring yourself into peace. Bring yourself into meditation. Bring yourself into high consciousness fields. Trust, 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 trust in the perfection of timing and all the myriads of beings that have your best interest at heart, that see and know everything going on. Allow what is happening to unfold. There's no need to control anything. Be in your center and love the one in front of you. Be focused on what is happening here in the now, in your physical space with the one in front of you. Choose love every chance that you get. When you can't, ask for help. When you're confused about how to love the other, revert back to loving the self. When you don't know how to love yourself, look to someone who exhibits this quality consistently and sustainably in their life, that they love themselves, and learn from them how to love. Ask yourself, what would Judah do? What would Angie do in this situation? What would Michelle do? Don't be afraid to learn from others. Vicarious learning is very valuable. You don't need to suffer through. You don't need to have cancer to learn your lessons. You don't need to suffer in any way to learn your lessons. You can learn through being conscious and aware and awake, and through imbibing on the wisdom that is offered through so many.
Mm. Can you help us with the division that's going on? It's not only in the United States, it's in the world in many places, but specifically, can we talk about the United States for a moment? There's such a divide, politically speaking. What is happening with that, and how do we navigate that? Is it the same?
You must absolutely refuse to take sides. This is key. You must be a purple person in a blue and red state. You must reserve, be conservative and reserve your opinions. Opinions are cleverly disguised judgments. The trouble is, all thinking most on both sides, thinking they have the answers and know the truth. No one knows the truth. No one knows the truth fully. The truth is not being broadcast on either side of the aisle. You must look inside yourself. You must learn to listen to your body. When you feel resistance, when you feel shut down, withdraw your attention from the whole bit of it. We would tell you, if you were living in a country cottage right now with no connection to all of the news and the milieu, you could be completely, totally at peace. Completely and totally at peace. Yes. So if you had something in your refrigerator that was old and rotten and molded and smelly, would you eat it? Of course not. You would throw it in the trash. But many of you are eating energetically the news over and over and over. You are poisoning yourself over and over and over for no good reason. And as we said before, you are fooling yourself into thinking that by watching it, by listening to it, you've done something productive. Absolutely not. You must give your attention to what brings you life. Sunflowers understand this. Sunflowers, at the end of the evening, they turn their face towards the west, where the sun will rise in the morning, and all day long they follow the sun through the sky until it sets in the east. And then they begin again. You must learn to look at what is full of truth and light and love and life-giving, and don't give your attention to anything else. So I'll come out of channeling just for a moment to tell a story, a true story.
Yeah.
You can find on Reuters. In the 80s, there was a earthquake in Mexico City, and thousands of people died. And then about 30 years later, Mexico City, prepared a remembrance and a memorial for all the people that had died so many years before. And so on that particular day, they were having memorial services and remembrance, and they were also doing earthquake drills to prepare for any future earthquakes. And guess what happened?
What happened?
Another earthquake.
An earthquake.
And many more people died.
Wow.
So this is what happens when we give our, Judah wants to speak. Yes, listen, when you give your time, energy, and attention to things you don't want, you will produce and create and expand and inflate more of what you don't want. So if you don't want strife, if you don't want contention, if you don't want partisan rivalry and all of this, you must withdraw your attention from it completely. Otherwise, you are simply recreating it. And this is really what is, you want to know what is happening on the world stage in the politics in America, we will tell you. Everyone is recreating it over and over and over every single day by watching and listening to the stories and the drama again. You know what ego is. It is conflict. It is the need to be right. It is the need to be special. It is the need to be heard. It is drama. This is what ego is. So if you want all the drama to stop, you want to withdraw your attention from it and have no part of it whatsoever. ever. Do not take sides. You can go and vote, but you need very little information to vote, we would say. Very little information. And you can get that information the day before you go and stand in the voting booth. And until that day comes, unless, as we said, you are on the front lines, unless you are going to run for office and make it your business to make a change, why give your time, energy, and attention to something that is not your business?
Mm. Last question for you. Can you talk a little bit more about the consciousness, the raising? What does that mean? What does that mean to us that the planet, the consciousness on the planet is raising right now? What does that even mean, and how does it affect us?
Well, when the beloved Christ walked the earth, the consciousness of the planet was very low. It was meager. It was miserly. The people were basically living under a cruel oppression by governmental authorities and also highly repressed by the religious paradigms of the day. And they were simply concerned about eating, working, sleeping, surviving. Yes, that was the consciousness of the day. The consciousness is vastly increased since that time. But yet many are still living in fear and anxiety and sadness and grief. 85% of you are living in these states of grief, sadness, anger, jealousy. All of these things are survival paradigms of the ego. What is the ego? The ego is not an enemy. We are never asking you to polarize or think of the ego as an enemy. The ego is simply how you have adapted to environments of sadness, anxiety, fear, anger, jealousy, greed. They are your adaptations, the adaptations that you made in order to survive the circumstances and the culturation and the family dynamics that you were born into. But as you grow up, and if you want to be spiritually mature, you must then begin to sift and sort through what is the ego, what is truly me. You are not your adaptations. No child comes into life feeling jealous, feeling
Right.
greed, feeling anger. No, they come in with purity and innocence of heart, with a vast capacity to both give and receive love. This is what they do at the mother's breast. They receive love and they give love. They look in the mother's eyes and give love, and they receive love and nurture. And so the task then is to identify what is not really you, what is an adaptation of the true you, and begin to lay that aside and begin to ferret out these subconscious beliefs and so on. And there was more to your question. How can we finish answering that for you?
So I wanted you to even define, what does it mean that the world is becoming more conscious? What does that statement mean?
Well, it is a limited way of saying that the emotional state of the inner being is becoming more and more elevated, rising up from fear, sadness, grief, anger into pride, then into courage, then into love and neutrality, then into joy and peace and bliss. And it is your natural state of being to be fully enlightened, to be imperturbable, unmoved, ineffable, in a continual state of peace. This is your natural state. And so to raise your consciousness, what is required is to raise the set point of your emotional state of being. You see, each of you has an emotional set point, likened to the set point on a thermostat. And based on your acculturation and your conditioning and programming, you will tend to gravitate to that set point. For some of you, it is anxiety. For some of you, it is courage. For some of you, it is fear. For some of you, it is depression. And so to raise your level of consciousness, you begin to throw out the baggage, the subconscious baggage that weighs you down and keeps you in those lower emotional states. And as you free your subconscious mind from the old memories and neural networks and egoic parts, adaptations, that were adopted in order for you to survive, as you begin to sift and sort through that as your adult higher self. Who is the adult self? It is the higher self. And the higher self, the job of elevating your consciousness is to allow your higher self, which is your adult self, to reparent your hurting, fragile, upset ego parts, your young, fragile parts. And so as the higher self does this, the consciousness very naturally and effortlessly and with fluidity begins to rise to a new emotional set point in those higher emotional states. So if you want to know what your level of consciousness is, you can simply look at your emotional state. If you feel easy, if you feel flowing, if you feel effortless, if you feel relaxed, if you feel at peace, then you know you are vibing at a very high level of consciousness. And again, this is the level of mastery. When you are in a perfectly enlightened state, nothing bothers you at all. You have infinite trust in what is going on. You know that you know that you know that everything that is happening, no matter how tragic it is, was the choice of the soul, of some human soul, to which they have a right. And you have it. You have peace with that. And you know that everything happening is for the unfolding of the souls and the unification of all souls and the enlightenment of all souls. And you are at peace with allowing everything to unfold as it is, knowing that all things are as they should be.
Thank you so much for being here. It's beautiful. Beautifully said, all of it. Woo! Anjie, thank you. It's so fun. Thank you. Thank you. So, all right. Gosh, we're going to end the show and we're going to then open it up to Q&A for everyone that's here. But Anjie, gosh, thanks to Judah. Thank you, Mary Magdalene. Where would people find you?
TheJudahChannel.com.
Okay.
And we have lots of beautiful offerings there for you.
TheJudahChannel.com. We will put all of this in the show notes.
Thank you.
Ooh, and then if people do live in the Charlotte area, you speak the first Saturday of every month.
Yes. Well, and we have people come from all over the world for that event, actually. But we do have just $20 for once a month. You can get in the room with us, and we sing, we dance, we have teachings, we hear from Judah.
And is that also at thejudahchannel.com to get information on that?
Yes, absolutely.
And you can join Zoom or in person, correct?
Well, the satsang is in person, and then we replay it later. I do have personal sessions where I work with people. We have a lovely course that we help you. Basically, it's everything I know. We throw it all at you in 12 weeks. And you learn how to channel, you learn how to do automatic writing, you learn how to do muscle testing, you learn who your angels and guides are and how to speak with them directly. We do all of that. We'll have a new course then starting September 1st.
Love it.
We also, one of the most fun things we have is our daily quotes from Judah, and our team goes through all the channelings and picks out the golden nuggets, and you get one every morning in your inbox, and they're free. And today's said, even if you've always relinquished your decisions to someone else, begin now. Meditate, speak with your higher self and your guides. Make your own choices. If it's a mistake, so what? That's how you will learn. That was today's tip.
Ooh, that's good stuff. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will link all of this right in the show notes. And again, thanks so much for being here today.
My pleasure.